birth chart? What is a birth chart? I understand. I once was where you are right now. Okay, so what I would like to do is start a new series helping you understand what your birth chart is, why does it exist, what it exactly encompasses, and how you can use that to navigate your life towards your highest and greatest good. All right, so really let's jump into it, okay? What exactly is a birth chart and why does it exist? People talk about astrology, and so many people talk about sun signs and, oh, my sun sign is a this and my sun sign is a that. There are so many astrological signs within your birth chart. So what is a birth chart? Again, why aren't you telling us what a birth chart is? Your birth chart is a picture of the sky when you came out of your mother's birthing canal. So it is where all of the planets were sitting when you were born. Now, why does that matter? Well, each individual planet has an astrological influence on how it is that we act or perceive this world that we are living in. Okay? So when we talk about astrology, it is not accurate enough to only look at your sun sign, because there are several others that exist in your chart. You have your rising sign, you have your sun sign, you have your moon sign, and then we have all of the planets. So yes, you do have a Mars, you have a Neptune, you have a Pluto, you have a Uranus, you have a Jupiter, you have a Venus, and you have Mercury, and they all represent something different. They all represent a different realm of life for you. So that is what a birth chart is. And I will insert a picture of what a birth chart is so that we can really talk about what it is and why does it look so crazy. So let's start with the actual picture of the birth chart. All right, so the birth chart looks like a pie. Like a pizza pie. You get a piece of pizza and it's split into 12 different pieces. Okay, now what this chart represents is the earth. If we were to go up in space and look down at the earth and we see this disc, right? If we were to take space and flatten it into a 2D picture, that is your birth chart. So now let's talk about all these lines. What is all that stuff? All right, so again, think of it if I were to get this, right? You know, our planet is a sphere, right? But if we were to look down on it, it would be like this little circle. Okay, so this is the birth chart. Okay, that is the birth chart. Now we have to look at this from the perspective of where all of the planets were sitting, right? So on this chart, there is a line that goes across the chart. Okay. That line that goes across the chart represents your ascending and your descending. So that line will separate the chart into a top part of the chart and a bottom part of the chart. Well, what does that mean? The bottom part of the chart represents night time. Okay. And the top part of the chart represents daytime. Okay, so that line in the middle represents the horizon. The sun will come up over the horizon and it'll curve around the earth and then it'll go down on the other side. So you have your ascending sign, that is the line all the way to the right or left, because I don't know which way this chart is going to be facing. This line represents your ascending and your descending. So when the sun goes up into the sky, boop, and it hits your midheaven, which is what we'll explain next, and then it starts to go down on the other side and it hits the descending, boop, and it goes below the horizon. Then ta-da, it's nighttime. The vertical line is your midheaven and bottom of the sky. So you'll see it on your birth chart as like a capital M, lowercase c. And that is called medium Shayley. Okay, it is definitely not spelled that way, but medium Shayley, aka midheaven. So that vertical line, right? The top is your midheaven, right? And the bottom is your below the sky. Now, the bottom point would be your eye, capital I, lowercase c, your imam Shayley, okay? And that is in your night sky. That's your day sky, your night sky. This is your ascending. This is your descending. Now, why does this matter? Okay, so now we have, that will split our chart into 4 different pieces of pie, right? So if we were to go back to that horizontal line, right, above that horizontal line is your daytime chart. So this is how the world sees you. This is the mark you make on the outer world. And in your lifetime, these are the things that you are going to accomplish outside of yourself. On the bottom part of the chart, the nighttime part of the chart, meaning if the sun exists down there, that means you were born at night. The sun had not breached the horizon. It was still somewhere on another part of Earth, and it was nighttime where you were born, right? So that bottom part represents your internal self, okay? It represents the inner possible accomplishments and lessons that you will have in life with yourself. Okay. All right. Now let's make our way back to the ascending and the descending. Okay. The ascending represents how the world sees you. So as the sun comes up and we're looking at the sun go across the sky, this is honestly your true personality, right? This is how you will act. This is how you will navigate in the world, right? You're ascending. Now your descending, which will be the sister sign to your ascending sign, right? That sits across the chart because it's a pie. That will be what you are attracted to, the type of people you are attracted to. Okay, so this is how the world sees us, right? And then this is what we're looking for in the descendant sign. Okay, now the midheaven and bottom of the sky, right, talk about your accomplishments, right? So your external accomplishments, your reputation, your career, the success you have, your goals and your ambitions, that is your midheaven. Okay, your bottom of the sky represents your inner self, your roots, your home life, your parents, and your internal security. Okay. So that is how the chart is split up into 4 different quadrants. Now, let's talk about the individual quadrants and what they actually mean. So you have your first quadrant, okay, that will house your first, your second, and your third house. So within this first quadrant, right, this is where our ego sits. This is where how we value things sit. This is a very internal part of the chart. Remember, we're at the bottom part, so this is our internal self. So this is our ego. This is where we place value, and this is our mind, how we think, how we communicate. So that's the first slice of the pie. Your second quadrant is your external self-development. Okay, so this houses your 4th, 5th, and 6th houses, right? So your 4th, 5th, and 6th houses represent your internal security, your creativity, and your routines, your daily habits. Okay. Then we have the third slice of the pie, right? The third quadrant, and that holds your 7th, your 8th, and your 9th houses. And that represents, because now this is above that horizontal line, that represents your worldly awareness. So these are your commitments, this is your intimacy, and this is also your worldview. Okay, then we have our fourth quadrant, right? That is your 10th, 11th, and 12th house. And again, this is more of your worldly awareness, right? And this represents your goals, your humanity, and your public service. Okay, so those are the four quadrants of the chart. So now you understand what that horizontal line means. Now you understand what that vertical mean. And for some, vertical line means, for some people, it will not be a cross, right? This is using whole sign houses, but Placidus method, it could look like this. It could look, it could look like this. Like, it really depends on, your personal chart, when you were born, what celestial events were happening when you were born, right? So everybody's charts will not look the same, okay? Unless you were born at the exact same time, at the exact same place. So unless you're like a twin or a triplet or something like that. But overall, right, yeah, your chart is not going to be exactly the same to somebody else, okay? So let's jump into the houses. So let's start with the first house, okay? The first house will always contain your rising sign or your ascending sign. Those are used interchangeably, okay? The first house is ruled by Aries. Okay, so this first house represents your house of self. All right, so within the first house, this is where your ego is contained. This is where your attitude is contained. This is what people think of you on their first impression of you. This is the mask that you present to the world. Okay, this is your body. Now, with your ascending sign in your first house, your ascending sign can also sometimes dictate how your body looks. I am a Sagittarius rising. Now, Sagittarius risings are known to be hippie or bottom heavy or have strong legs, right? Because it is, I forget the name of it, but the half horse, half man with the archer, half horse, half man. You know what I mean? Or half horse, half woman sometimes. Yeah, that horse nature of that lower body. I got that. Yeah, these legs strong. These hips big. This wagon is dragging. Okay, and you could tell that because I'm a Sagittarius rising. So like, depending on your rising sign, you know how some people say, oh, like Pisces look like fish, right? Like if you're a Pisces rising, you might have features of fish-like features, right? Your eyes may look a specific way, maybe spread in a specific way, right? It's that type of energy, right? So this also dictates your appearance. Okay, this is also like the pride you put into your appearance. And then also your first house represents your soul's purpose, why you were incarnated here in the first place. All right, so if I'm a Sagittarius rising, my ascendant is my ascendant sign is a Sagittarius. Why am I struggling to say this? My ascendant sign is Sagittarius. Then my soul's purpose may have something to do with spirituality or religion or travel and discovery or higher education and learning. My sole purpose lies within that realm because my ascendant is in the first house. Also, the first house represents like the identity that you have, right? Again, the mask that you have, what you want society to see you as. But this is also how you actually act as well. It's like a nice amalgamation. So this is why they say your ascendant sign is truly what your personality is. Your sun sign, yeah, your sun sign is your ego as well, right? But your ascendant sign is your true personality. Okay, so that is the first house. Your second house, it represents the value you place on things. Okay, so this is the value you place on yourself included, right? So your self-worth, this is your finances, this is your possessions, this is lending and borrowing, this is your values. These are your material desires. This is your appetite. So the second house is ruled by Taurus. Okay, so you know they like to say Taurus love to eat, right? Hello, it's very clear in the housing system, right? So this is your appetite, but this is your appetite for both food and sex, intimacy. Okay, so don't just take it as, oh, they're gluttons, right? Taurus people are gluttons. Like, this is an appetite for things that hold value, right? So if you love delicious food, you're gonna have a big appetite for that. If you love you some good nookie, you're gonna have a big appetite for that. If you love money, you gonna have a big appetite for that. So this is where your appetite lies. This is where your resources are. This is where your personal wealth is. And again, this is where your appetite for sex is. Okay, the second house, and again, it is ruled by Taurus. Up next, we have the third house, which is ruled by Gemini. Now, the third house rules over the mind, right? So they say, Geminis are curious and, they can flip their mind between one perspective and another, right? So that is where this energy lies. This is your mind. This is your perspective. This is your focus. This is your communication. This also can represent early education. I'm talking about like elementary, middle school, preschool, anything before college, right? So this is early education. This represents siblings, your technical skills. This represents short distance travel. This represents media, so like social media and your online presence. This also represents like sales and marketing as well, because that plays a part into media. All right, so your third house is represented by Gemini. The fourth house is ruled by Cancer. Okay, so the fourth house is the house of internal security. So this is where you find your sense of security. This is where you find your nurturing parent or parents. This is where you find your family. This is the house of real estate and land. This is the house of your upbringing. This is a house of youth. Right? This is the house of your origins. This is the house of your roots. This is the house of your generational gifts, things that pass down from generation to generation. And that is including spirituality, not just things of materialistic essence. This is also spiritual essence as well. This is the house of femininity. And also this is like the house where you find privacy. Like, think about going home and undressing in your house and you just like, oh, like you just let it all go. That's your fourth house. All right, so your fifth house is ruled by Leo, and this is the house of creativity. All right, this is the house of self-expression, entertainment. Okay, this is the house of joy, fun, and games. This is the house of pleasure. This is the house where you date. This is where you find dating. This is the house of like a first child or children. This is a house of entrepreneurship. This is a house of like flirtation and love affairs. And also, in true Leo fashion, this is the house of drama. Then we have the sixth house, and this house is ruled by Virgo. Okay, so this is your house of daily routines, your daily life. Okay, so this house represents your health. This house represents your work, not your career, but the things you do on a daily basis to make ends meet. Yeah, your work, your service, your health and vitality, your healing. This house represents your pets, your hygiene, your duty, illness and injury, and your independence. So you know how they say Virgos are pretty systematic, right? Persistent and diligent. Yeah, so that's this house. The things you do over and over and over and over and over and over again. All right, because you have to. That's your sixth house. So your seventh house is ruled by Libra. So Libra represents your partnerships and your commitments. All right. So these are your deep bonds. This is marriage. This is a business partnership, a business contract, some sort of agreement, a legal contract. This represents lawsuits. It represents relaxation as well. And it also can represent your enemies. Okay. For your eighth house, that is ruled by Scorpio. And the eighth house represents transitions and transformations. Okay. So transitions and transformations also represent your karma, like the things you do and the things that follow up after the things that you do, right? It represents your debt. It represents shared wealth or shared finances. It represents intimacy. It represents death, regeneration, reincarnation. Also, it represents generational gifts as well. It represents contracts and mysteries, secrets, wills, like when someone passes, what they leave behind, inheritances. It represents bonuses. And it also represents like surgeries and some sort of battle as well. Up next, we have the ninth house, which is ruled by Sagittarius. Okay, so this is your house of discovery and exploration. All right, this is your house of world view. This is your house of the ideologies that you hold within life. This is the house where higher education is. This is the house where a second life partner is. This is the house where spirituality and religion reside. This is where your ethics are. This is where long-term traveling is, publishing, and also cultural learning. Up next, we have the 10th house, which is ruled by Capricorn. Okay, so rightfully so, this is your house of ambitions. These are the goals you strive to achieve in life. Okay, these are your influences in society. This is the power that you hold. This is the fame that you will get through life. These are the accomplishments that you will have. This is where business is housed. This is where honor is housed. This is also where the government and military is as well. And your overall life direction and the mastery you attain throughout your life. That is your 10th house. And then up next is your 11th house, which is ruled by Aquarius. And that is your community. Okay, so this is where I can't say this word, humanitarianism. I think I might have said it right. Humanitarianism. I feel like I'm still not saying it right. It don't sound right in my head. So if it wasn't the right word, I'm so sorry. But you know what I mean. This is where your communities lie, your friendships. Okay, this is where your acquaintances lie. This is your earned wealth. This is where the stock market is. This is like your employer's finances, money, maybe the benefits that you get from your employer. This is where your memberships are. This is where your social clubs are. This is where you give charity as well, right? So again, humanitarianism. Hope I said that right. All right, and then last but not least, we have the 12th house, which is house of Pisces, okay? So that represents the hidden world, okay, within you, right? This is your pain, your ability to self-sabotage. This is where your dreams and your fantasies are. This is where your illusions and delusions are. This is where sickness is also housed as well. This is hidden enemies. This is like the house of isolation, the house of mental health, This is the house where hospitals lie, your house of self-destruction. But also this is where the house of spirituality, right? And selfless service lies, and mysticism is as well. So I don't want this house to sound super negative, right? But it is the hidden things of like your subconscious, and like this is also where like substance abuse lies, right? So these are things that if we act positively within this realm, we discover our gifts. If we don't act positively in this realm, we discover our destruction. So that's the 12th house. Now, if you notice, it goes in a sequential order, right? Aries, and this is why, and it's not just because I'm an Aries sun, okay? Aries starts the astrological season and Pisces ends it. So it goes in chronological order. So if we go through the year, okay, we will go through these individual signs. So first it's Aries, then Taurus, then Gemini, then Cancer, then Leo, then Virgo, then Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and then it keeps going over and over again as the years pass, right? So that's how this house is that's how this house is housed. That's how the birth chart is laid out. Now, let's take a quick second to talk about sister signs. Okay, what is a sister sign? So now that we have talked about the houses and which signs ruled the houses, this is where you find your sister sign, because your sister sign is the house that's right across the way. So it is the house that is 6 houses away from you. Okay, it's the one that's sitting is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 houses. I had to count that. 6 houses away from you. So it's the house across the street. Our doors face each other. We got the same energy. It's just one might be external and the other might be internal. Okay, so if we really think about this, Aries and Libra, sister signs. The first, you add 6 to 7, Libra, sister signs. Taurus, you add 6, Scorpio, sister sign. Gemini, you add 6 to 3, 9, Sagittarius, sister sign. And vice versa. Sagittarius is the sister sign to Gemini. If you go to that 4th house, which is Cancer, you add 6 to that. What is that? Capricorn. You go to the 5th house of Leo, you add 6 to that. What is that? Aquarius. You go to the 6th house of Virgo, you add 6 to that. What is that? Pisces. Those are the sister signs. That is how you very easily find your sister sign. So what is a sister sign? Essentially, the sister sign has the opposing energy of you. So if I'm an Aries and my sister sign is a Libra, I act for self. Me, I, because I'm on the bottom of the chart, right? Libra's on the top of the chart. So Libra acts for the community, for the better good of everybody else. For Taurus, if we add, because I have to add, I do the adding, right? So for Taurus, in the 2nd house, right, we add 6 to that, that's Scorpio. So, right, Taurus has an appetite for money, possessions, right? And I value, and, I'm resourceful and all of that, but it's on a very personal level, right? Scorpio, on the other hand, likes resources on an external level. I want to know all your secrets, where your money at, what you doing over there behind the scenes, right? Whereas Taurus gonna mind their business and they want to eat their food and they good, right? Gemini and Sagittarius is another good example, right? Gemini has a lot of exploration in their mind, in their thought process, in their communication, their perception. Sagittarius has a lot of exploration and discovery within the world. They like to learn new things. They like to explore new physical or cultural or religious or higher education, right? Whereas Gemini, it's a very internal thing. Scorpio is at the top part of the chart, Gemini is at the bottom, night and day. You see how that energy works between one another? So again, once you have the general logistics of your chart, automatically knowing what all of this stuff means, you probably won't get that off bat. But if you have a general understanding of night, bottom of the chart, day, top of the chart, like your goals, your external goals versus your internal goals, and what the general houses mean, you kind of already have a good start with your birth chart. So I hope that this information, without being too long-winded, was very helpful for you. Again, this is just the first iteration of this series, and this is to understand the chart itself and what it means. I will go into what an ascending sign, what a descending sign, the sun, moon, and all of that stuff in later videos. So please don't feel like this feels incomplete. This is just to understand what that pie means. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And thank you for staying all the way to the end of this video. Please like, subscribe, and share this video, and please help me grow. I appreciate you so much. I'll see y'all later. Bye.